Board of Miss Irene, which is the title is Curriculum Evaluation and the Teacher. So in Curriculum Evaluation and the Teacher, there are models that is being introduced by different curriculturists. So at this time, I will discuss Daniel Stapleton's contribution in curriculum. So who is Daniel Stapleton? Daniel Stapleton introduced CIPP model. So CIPP models, C stands for context evaluation, I stands for input evaluation, P stands for process evaluation, and P again stands for product evaluation. So context evaluation assesses needs and problems in the context for decision makers to determine the goals and objectives of the program's curriculum. So there is a context evaluation. It is an evaluation wherein an evaluator set a goals. Dito nila ma-determine ang mga problems na kailangan nilang i-meet or the problems na mga mas kailangan nilang i-improve. And then, input evaluation assess alternative means based on the input for the achievement of objectives to help decision makers to choose options for optimal means. So it is very visible that here in input evaluation, it is the time wherein the evaluator can find an implementation strategies or interventions on how they are going to meet the problems of the specific goals na ilahang set. And then next is the process evaluation. So process evaluation monitors the processes both to ensure that the means are actually being implemented and make necessary modifications. So the process evaluation, dinadayon, the evaluator evaluate the they take an actions na. So nila i-apply ang ilahang mga interventions or implementations. Next is the product evaluation. So it is the outcome from the word product. So na-evaluate table na akong i-send. Paki-check natin. Para mas maliwanagan mo. So we have the context, input, processes, product, and the from evaluation model. So at the context evaluation, yes, we have the goals. It means we determine the beneficiaries, the needs, the resources, the problems, the background, and the environment. Next is the input evaluation. We plans, right? It involves stakeholders, the strategies, the budget, the coverage, and the research. And next is the process evaluations. Yes, the actions. We develop, we implement, we monitor, and we give feedback. Next is the product evaluations. The outcomes of those evaluations. So we have the impact, the effectiveness, if those evaluations are very effective, the transportability, the sustainability, and the adjustment. So those are the CIPP models. Again, what are the CIPP? We have the
Context.
context evaluation, input evaluation. Okay, very good. So there are steps that we are going to follow in order to attain those evaluations. So step 1, identify the kind of decision to be made. So you will identify the decision. So it means na involved na sa diri ang mga problems. Na-determine nimo ang mga problems or na-gather na nimo ang mga problems. Next, identify the kind of data to make that decision. Okay, you will identify the data or the specific data nga imuhang igamit in order to attain your goals. Next is collect the data needed. So the data that is needed. Next is 4, establish the criteria to determine the quality of data. So dili na din ka mag-start og standards sa imuhang mga problems o sa imuhang implementations nga i-implement nimo sa mga problems. Next is analyze data based on the criteria, and the last, organize needed information needed for decision makers. So sa step 6, ma-organize na nimo ang mga more needed information or more reliable informations nga imuhang gamiton in order to make a decisions. The next model is state responsive model. Responsive model is oriented more directly to program activities than program intents. Evaluation focus more on the activities rather than intent or purposes. So, state responsive model, it is the model that is introduced by Robert State in 1975. It has a major contribution to curriculum evaluation in his development of the responsive model. This model is based on the assumption that the concerns of the stakeholders. It is an involvement of stakeholders. It is the concerns of the stakeholders. So there are wait. Okay, so these products in school which require a purchasing decision. This product, the curriculum follows the steps below. So these are the steps that the evaluators must follow. First, meets with the stakeholders to identify their perspectives and intentions regarding curriculum evaluation. So of course, in order for you to make a decision making, according to this model, you should meet the stakeholders and identify their perspective, or you will ask their perspective kay stakeholders is they have a further knowledge about curriculum. Next is draw from step 1 documents to determine the scope of the evaluation. So in step 2, dinadali mo ma-document ang mga na-find mo ng mga informations coming from the stakeholders. Next is step 3, observe the curriculum closely to identify the intended sense of implementation and any deviations from announced intent. So you will, at this step, ma-observe na din mo ang curriculum. What are the unintended or the problems sa mga implementations na dili siya more effective. And then number 4 is identify the stated real purpose of the program and the various audiences. So in this step, ma-identify na dali mo ang mga stated real purpose or the purpose of the program or those implementations na gi-implement sa mga audiences. Next is step 5, identify the problems of the curriculum evaluation at hand, identifies an evaluation design with needed data. So this step 5, ma-identify na din mo ang mga problems sa curriculum na gi-evaluate sa mga students. And then ma-identify sa nimo ang mga design or ang mga data, needed data nga magamit sa imuhang implementations. Next is step 6, list the means needed to collect data or information. So means needed, more needed sa pag-collect sa imong mga data. Implements. Next, organize the information into themes. So, when you organize the information into themes or in one specific theme, you can easily find a solution or you can easily find an implementation to a certain problem. The last step is decides the stakeholders the most appropriate format for the report. So, decides with stakeholders an involvement of an evaluator and stakeholders in order to have a appropriate format for the report. So next is the Scriven Consumer-Oriented Evaluation. Michael Scriven in 1967 introduced this evaluation among many others when education products flooded the market. Consumers of educational products which are needed to support and implement the curriculum of the new consumer-oriented evaluations. So who are the consumers in education?
Kita.
Huh? Us,
Kita.
and of course the teachers. So what are the what are the products in education? So there is a
Makabalot
student-oriented evaluation. It is an evaluation of the textbooks, the modules, and the educational apps or educational technology. So such as software apps. Unsa man ang mga software apps sa education? We have the Google Classroom, right? The Google Meet, the Google Docs na gigamit. So this educational apps is an interaction between the teacher and the students. So these products in school which require a purchasing decision. Yes, we have the textbook, modules, educational technology like software and other instructional materials. Even teachers and schools themselves nowadays write and produce these materials for their own purposes. Okay, as we living in IT era, educational technologies is ginagamit na siya sa education sa between the teachers and the students. Next is instructional materials review form. So it is an example. We have the preliminary information and the recommendations that we are going to attain. Use the following codes to rate the materials. Okay, dahil na dahil ta sa data nga gi-introduce ni Kuan. Gi-introduce ni sa Scriven Consumer or gi-introduce ni Michael Scriven rather. So this, for example, if use this following foods to rate the material. So, mo ni siya. Positive means yes or good quality. However, the zero means all right but not good quality. And then the negative means no or poor quality. NA means or not applicable. So this implementation, kani siya, kani sa table na there are 16 questions or 16 criteria na i-introduce ni Scriven. So, ang criteria number 1, content covers a significant portion of the course competencies. So, if your answer is positive, then yes, or it is the criteria is good. Then if zero, all right but not so good. Then if negative, no or poor. If NA, not applicable. So the purpose of this criteria is to determine what criteria is most applicable to the needs of the student. So if yung answer is zero, then of course it has more improvement, mas need siya of improvement or mas dili siya applicable. And then if positive, then it is applicable. So the result of this criteria ratings can help the curriculturist identify what criteria ang ilang gamiton to meet the needs of the students or to meet the demands of the education. Next is a simple way of curriculum evaluation process. Responding to the following questions will provide an evaluation data for a very simple and practical way of curriculum evaluation, curriculum decision making. Just ask the following questions and no answer to an item will indicate a need for a serious curriculum evaluations. Okay, there has a questions. There is a simple way of curriculum. If you will kaning answer no, it indicates kana ang curriculum evaluation is need to be processed. It is needed to be more processed. First, does the curriculum emphasize learning outcomes? Then next, does the implemented curriculum require less demands? Can this curriculum be applied to any particular level? So ang curriculum ba is na-applied ba to any particular level? Ma-implement ba siya? Ma-implement? No?
Yes.
Why?
Asa to yung gingan?
Can the curriculum be applied to any particular level?
Not, wala.
Why?
Kaya dili mo ta same og level.
Okay. Yes, that's very good. So, hindi siya applicable ang curriculum to any students from kindergarten to tertiary levels, given the situations that each students are diverse, not just diverse in cultures, but diverse also in the intellectual level. Now let's move on to the steps in conducting a curriculum evaluation. So, the conducting curriculum evaluation, we have also the steps to be followed. First is to identify primary audiences. So, who are the primary audiences? So, the primary audiences is kanang from grade 1 to grade 3. Ano na siya mga primary levels. So, what to consider? So, kinsa may mga involved diri? Ang mga curriculum, program sponsors, managers, and administrators. School heads, participants, the content and the specialists, other stakeholders. And then the step 2 is that identifying the critical issues or the problems. So, kung sa man ang mga problems na imong na-identify dito sa imong primary audiences. And then, kung sa man yung mga i-consider, you have the outcomes or the desirable outcomes sa imong goals. Then the process, the implementations, of course, it is must be applied in this certain problem. Next is identifying data source. Then, ang iyang mga involvement is the people, the teacher, the students, the parents, the curriculum developers, the existing documents, and the available records, evaluation, and study. So, those are the steps in conducting a curriculum evaluation. So, sa mga curriculum?
Subjects.
Curriculum is a subject. Okay. Then, I guess that would be all. So, curriculum evaluation, as what Palomaria said a while ago, that it determines the impact of implemented curriculum on students' achievements so that the official curriculum can be revised if necessary and to reduce teaching and learning process in the classroom. So, curriculum evaluation in education determines if that certain curriculum curriculum is applicable to the needs of the students. Then if not, then the agriculturist has more improvement or need to be improved ang ilahang mga gi-introduce nga mga implementation so that mamit nila ang mga needs sa students. That's all.